Howdy! I said I'd do an antique review special, and I mean, I've been being lazy and I didn't record it, and I've been having issues with YouTube, so when I finally get this uploaded, it'll probably be much later than I initially anticipated. I also need to get the video pictures up, like before you click on the video, the picture that you see there. I need to update all those. I haven't done that yet either. Well, either way, so this antique review is in special regards to my paper currency collection. I also have a coin collection too, but that would take far too long to do in one video, so I figure I'll just do a presentation methodology on what I have, including what I recently got, because I'll go around showing these to people when I first get them, and then people tell me you shouldn't do that, you're gonna get robbed, and they're probably right, but it hasn't happened yet, so I'll just do what I do there, and yeah, basically that's what this video is going to be. I recently attained 3 more large notes that are very, very impressive, personally, and I kind of just want to share that with everybody on my channel here too, because I haven't really touched on this aspect of my antique collection. I collect a lot of different antiques, and this is one of the pride and joys of throughout my collections, because it's not easy to attain these things, and they have cost me a pretty penny over the years, but I have them now, and their value only goes up. So might as well start this off with the latest in the collection. So a couple of years ago, my great-great-grandma, who is still alive, she's 96, started sending me, with her letters in the mail, star notes. So whenever they make a mistake at the printing press, they reissue the same barcode, but since that's illegal, they put a star next to it, and over time, the value increases substantially. If you find really old star notes, like from 100 years ago, they're worth an awful lot of money today. For instance, they stopped making the $500 bill in 1969. $500 bill from, what was it, 1934, worth about $1,200 in substantial condition. And then another one from the same year with a star on it was worth $6,500. Makes a difference. So, she insisted that I start saving these on the side, and I have. I've been shoving them multiple into one sleeve. These are all ones. This includes 5s, 10s, and 20s. And then I have a 50 and 100, but I can't remember where I shoved those, because I think the 50 is hidden between my $2 bills, because, look, you wouldn't think it's in there, you know? Yeah, I can't remember where the 100 is. It's somewhere in here. Probably hidden in this bunch? No? How about the ones? No. Is it next to the 50? Oh yeah. Oh, the 100 is in here. Okay, then where is the 50? Wait, the 50 should be next to the 5s, right? If I'm remembering. Yes, okay. The 50 is next to the 5s, and the 100 is in here. But no, they just have a little green star next to the barcode number. You can find it in most any currency. I've literally saved all of these, more or less, from pocket change and working at a restaurant and a now department store. It's really not that hard to find them. I mean, yeah, they're kind of scarce, but not terribly. So pulling them out of circulation, if you're younger, it might be of some value, or if you want to leave something to your kids down the line, their value only goes up. How much up, it's hard to determine. You can look it up, and there's certain sites that will tell you the level of rarity and how many were made and its likelihood to go up in value, but overall, it's just kind of nice to save them. Plus, there's a certain series of $1 notes that was printed twice, so it's the same barcodes and stars, And it's said or estimated that if you find both, or if you find one, you can go to the site, put it in, and if somebody else has it too, you can either make a large deal with them to get a hold of it, or sell to them, and the pair might be worth at auction $1 million. So that's some interesting news in the Star Note world. But otherwise, I saved the $2 bills. They're not that rare. They still print them to this day. The only reason people keep pulling them out of circulation is the fact that they stopped making them from 1963 to 1976. The difference between the 63 and 76 is, I mean, you've got this backing on the current one. It's the Declaration of Independence painting. And then on the old ones, you know, it had Monticello. But either way, even the older ones with the Monticello aren't terribly rare. It's when you I have one here that is actually pretty rare. But I saved these because they're pristine, and the numbers are the serial numbers. I have them in order. I got them a few years ago and just decided, hey, might as well keep them. I mean, they don't have much value now, but they may when I'm dead, so it can be my kid's affair. Alternatively, in other pocket change, 2 1963 $1 bills, that's when they got their current modern design. So that was the first year the $1 bill looked as it does today. I bought the first one from Mike's Coins years ago, and then the second one I found in change at Dollar General, which I thought was pretty impressive. I was like, no way, I just found that. The one I found in change was a lot dirtier, though. I mean, being in circulation for 60 years, what do you expect? And then I've got a wide range. I got 1969, 77, 81, 85, 88, 95, 99, and then I've got old 5s, 10s, 20s, and 100s. I have no old 50s yet, besides the one that I specifically purchased, but I haven't ran into that in regular circulation. It's kind of hard to find the 50s. And for a period, it was pretty hard to find the 10s. So, maybe that's just me in my area and the money flow around here, but it was kind of a bitch to get the old $10 bills and the $10 star notes. And yeah, so this handful is basically just what I've gotten in pocket change. Now onto the part of my collection that I specifically purchased throughout the years. Making a comeback, I uploaded a video about getting this 5 or 6 years ago now. It's a 1935 $1 bill. That's when they got their current backing, except it doesn't say "In God We Trust" because we wouldn't get that until 1957, or the series of 1957. Or maybe the series of 53. I think it's the series of 57. I guess you can check on that. But either way, series of 35, silver certificate, pretty standard. They're not exactly rare. I don't think I paid too much for this because I didn't have much money to spend when I bought it. So there's that. Then, you know, you've got the $1 1928 silver certificate, and the difference between this and the other one is that it has the funny back. Yeah, this was a design that existed from 28 to 35. See, in 1928, the United States government figured out that India's printing measurements for their paper and how they cut their bills would be far more efficient than the method that they were currently using at the time, which could print 8 notes on a sheet. You'll see in a minute here why. The difference was made because you could print 12 notes on a sheet with this measurement ratio. The older ones were called horse blankets, and you needed a trifold wallet if you had the money to even purchase a wallet in those days to carry them around. But I've seen in Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin silent films that they would just shove it in their suit shirt pocket, and it would be a mess of crumpled up notes. But either way, they changed to this size in 28, and that's also the same year we got all the grandfathered designs of our current bills. So, got all the presidents, got all the backings, more or less. But the funny back series existed for only a short period, and so I figured I'd get one of these, and just recently, I've got the Red Seal version 2, or variety. That's another thing. So the different seals have their own meanings, obviously. You have the blue seal, silver certificate. You could go to a bank back before Lyndon B. Johnson removed the gold standard and transferred us over to fiat, and you could turn one of these in for a $1 coin in silver. Same goes for gold certificates. I have a couple of those. You'll see them in a bit. They have a gold stamp or orange stamp, depending on who you're talking to. It's like a light yellowish orange stamp. Gold. And then the green stamps represent the Federal Reserve. Established through the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, they started printing notes in 1914. Now, originally, their first notes, as seen in my collection, 2 that I recently purchased, still were under the silver banner, so they stamped them blue. But by 1928, they had a green seal, and you'll see those in this set here that I'm going through denominationally. The red seal, however, goes all the way back to 1862 when the United States government first started issuing notes. It was more of a bond statement due to the rationing of the Civil War, and so they started issuing these notes that you could go to a bank and it would have its value in gold. Now, they wouldn't necessarily give you the gold, per se, but it was based on the merit of the United States gold that they possessed. That's what backed that currency. And it was mildly popular in 1863 and 64, but kind of faded out after the Civil War ended. Everybody went back to using gold because, well, this paper doesn't mean anything. You can't turn it in for gold, so what does it matter? So then, because the United States government wanted people to start using these notes more frequently, they came out with the gold certificate, which you could go to the bank and turn in for gold directly. So you can see the value inherently, and the note itself could be used more easily. Now, jump a generation, their children, who had grown up in a world where gold kind of phased out and it turned more to using paper currency, were a lot more apt to using these red seal notes called the United States notes, or national currency. And because of that, red seal became a lot more popular from about the 1880s until the 1950s, largely because it worked for the people, and that younger generation, those children, didn't see so much the need for having a bill that you could turn in for gold. That would be more something you put in your safe and put away. And then in 1896, William Jennings Bryan was all for putting silver into the gold-backed system that was currently being used by the U.S. government at that time. And while he didn't win the presidential election, Theodore Roosevelt ended up implementing it in 1902. So that's when you've got the silver certificate and the gold certificate, which can both be turned in for their respective denominational currency in those metals. So like a $10 gold certificate, you can turn in for a $10 gold coin. But owning gold became outlawed when FDR implemented his ban on it during the Great Depression, and largely a lot of the gold certificates were destroyed, and owning gold personally was not really allowed. They kind of just took it all back in, and then everybody just kind of had to use the United States notes or the Federal Reserve notes. Silver certificates you could still utilize, but you couldn't use the gold ones anymore. But yeah, no, so gold certificate, gold seal, silver certificate, blue seal, United States notes or national currency, red seal, and Federal Reserve notes, green seal. You largely only see Federal Reserve today because of Lyndon B. Johnson. When he removed the gold and silver standard, along with that went the old United States notes because they were backed by gold. So, yeah, there's that whole history lesson there. But that's why you see different color seals, and it's actually pretty hard. I mean, okay, it's easier to get a hold of the silver certificate funny back from 28, but it's a lot harder to get a hold of the legal tender, or United States notes of 1928. They aren't very common, and most weren't even printed in 28. But either way, that's the $1 there. And then, of course, next up, we have the $2 bill. Red seal, same front, different back. Like I said, this is the back they got rid of in '63. And yeah, it's just kind of cool to have this series of 28. And then I've got the series of 28 $5 bill, Abraham Lincoln, and the Lincoln Memorial, obviously. But the designs are a lot different, and they were hand-etched in those days. All these designs were. Which is very impressive, I think. And then, making a first appearance, Federal Reserve notes, $10, 1934. I don't have a 10 or 20 from 28. I intend to get it down the line, but right now I'm satisfied with this because these are the first designs, and this is the second printing, you know? This one, my dad actually got at Wells Fargo 10 years ago. He traded a 20 for a 20. This thing's worth about $100. It's kind of nice. Cool. I got the sleeve and everything. Pristine. Pristine. I love it. Then we've got a $50 bill from 1928. Chicago. That's what the G represents. I know it's not great perspective here, but it's kind of nice to just show what I've got. And then the $100 notes. I love the backing, the rounded, all that. They added the "In God We Trust" to all of these notes in the 50s. And these styles were largely in use up until, well, they were in use up until 1995. In 1996, they changed to what I call the interim design, and then that happened because of counterfeiting scandal that occurred, and then they changed it again in 2003 with the 20s, and then 2006 for the rest of the notes, because of another counterfeiting scandal. So the current designs mostly come from 2006, but there's a lot of people still alive today who grew up with a lot of those designs. That was the longest period of United States printing same notes like that. But now on to the predecessors, the horse blanket notes. Much, much larger. So, since I don't think I'm doing it justice by showing this, I'll show this right next to it. How do I want to do this? Yeah. Or better yet, see that? Much larger. So this is the 1923 $1 series, and it is silver-backed, silver certificate. Kind of faded. I got it for $20. I'm not complaining. It's a 102-year-old $1 bill, and it was 100 years old when I got it, so pretty nice. On the behalf of Mike's Coins, again, most of these came from there. And then let's see. If we're going back by year, then next you're going to see the gold certificates. Now, I love the designs on these notes. You've got a George Washington on a $20 bill. And then, let's see, what is this? Michael Hillegas? I think he was involved with the very first treasury before Alexander Hamilton. But that treasury didn't really go anywhere. But he was still honored here on this $10 gold certificate. And the backs. Now, this is really something. I think these were the only bills printed with like this, like the gold certificates going all the way back, having a backing with this coloration. I love it. I wish I could really show you how ornate these designs are. The video is not doing it justice, but it is phenomenal. And even though these notes are faded and this has a couple holes in it, these are amazing to have, personally. I'm still trying to get the $50 gold certificate from this same series. I love these notes. They're really, really cool. Next up, we've got an actually certified one. And then, of course, because I had to, I have the $1 and $2 from 1917. Very, very ornate designs based off of the stampers from the 1869 series. But both notes are really, really cool to look at. So, yeah, no, they looked a lot different in this time. Really cool, really cool. And then, recent purchase, That $1 with the red seal from 28 also was included in this purchase, and the next note. But 1914 5 and 20. So this is the first 5, I believe, that had Abraham Lincoln on it. And then this 20 had Grover Cleveland, the first president to have 2 unconsecutive terms, something that we have had happen as of recent with Donald Trump. Either way, notable, and these were printed by the Federal Reserve in 1914. It says Federal Reserve note on the back. Very ornate designs, as always, with these early notes. They did that to prevent counterfeiting. The more detailed the design was, the harder it was for people to counterfeit in those days. Love these old designs. I really wish we still had notes looking like this, but they call them too busy now, and they're too much in the way of the security features that we have on notes today. I think there could be a workaround there, but I digress. 1902, $20 bill. Hand signatures on this. Now, that is really something. This is the oldest of the federal currency, paper-wise, that I own. I could still technically use this to this day. Now, of course, you walk into a gas station, try to use this, the person will be like, what the hell is this, you know? But technically, by law, I can still use this. I'd be an idiot, but it's cool to think about the fact that I can still utilize this as actual currency to this day. Now, on to the notes that you can't use anymore, that actually predate the Civil War. So, before the U.S. government issued paper currency, individual banks would issue what are now called obsolete notes based on their own funds and backing. So if they own some land, they would back it on that. If they own some gold, they would back it on that. You get the idea. And most of these notes, they were legal tender. They would have the cashiers and the presidents of the bank sign them, kind of like on this 1902 national currency note, but in a older format. And I have 3. The earliest of which is 1837. Now, this thing is as thin as a napkin at a restaurant if you were to unfold it to its thinnest layer. It's one-sided, and it was probably kept in a book for 150 years to be this pristine. Either way, it's got hand signatures on it. The date on it is January 28th, 1837, and you can see that the ink bled through to the back. This bank went belly up in the Panic of 1837, and everybody that signed this note, actually, was sued 10 years later for false claims on the assets that they owned. So, I thought that was kind of funny. Lafayette Bank in Boston. And then, the Bank of the State of South Carolina, dated June 1860, so just on the eve of the Civil War. Also, again, one-sided, but very, interesting to see this. So it's not Confederate currency, but it's really close. And then next up, unsigned, undated note. It's from the 1850s, and it was probably never used, but it has survived 170 years. The Dayton Bank in Minnesota. Now, this means a lot to me because I live in Minnesota. This is really cool. I know a lot about Minnesota history. I mean, I got a Minnesota legislature book from 1859. Drove all the way down to Red Wing the other day for that. But, yeah, no, this is from Minnesota in the 1850s. The people that I read about in the history of the town that I do all the research on, Monticello, and write the articles for and everything, they would have utilized something like this in their day, which is really cool, I think, holding a physical piece of history. But that's what this is all about. The whole reason I decided to present this is not to flaunt, oh, I have all this. No, it's the fact of these things were around at very interesting periods in our history. That's what I love about antiques. You get to hold something that people 100 years ago, 170 years ago, 200 years ago also held in their hands. Preserving that is just, it brings me a great amount of joy to be able to say that I am one of the people taking care to preserve these very things. And yes, they have value. They, especially these things, their value only goes up, like I said at the beginning of this video. But at the end of the day, that's not why I have them. I mean, yeah, I get to give it to my kids, and if they want to be foolish enough to sell it after I'm gone, well, go right ahead. But the way I see it, it's really cool to have these pieces of history. It's really cool to be able to say that I own a piece of the past. And that's why I collect these things, and that's why I present it to other people, to tell them about these things that they may have never heard of before. Because it's spreading information that people ought to know, and it's just really cool to be the proprietor of doing that. So yeah, no, that was the antique money special. Yeah, and I like this. I like this 1902 $20 bill. This is really cool. And the gold certificates. I will always love the gold certificate. Oh my God, the designs. We really ought to bring those things back. Oh, and some political commentary. So they plan on changing the $10 bill next year to having Harriet Tubman on it instead of Alexander Hamilton, the founder of the U.S. Treasury. There is a reason he's on the $10 bill. Alternatively, I might add, why not do that to the $20 bill and take Andrew Jackson off, because he was kind of a conceited fellow. He's also responsible for the Trail of Tears and many other atrocities to minorities, which is the whole reason of putting Harriet Tubman on a note in the first place. So instead of doing it to the $10 bill, taking Alexander Hamilton off when he doesn't deserve to be taken off, he ought to be respected on the only note or U.S. currency that he is still respected on for the factor of the system that he created. Should alternatively take Andrew Jackson off, because yeah, he was a great general in the War of 1812, but that's how he won his presidency. And if any historical recount still stands properly, he was a rather conceited fellow. I'm not saying bad on the factor of that. He did some terrible things by today's standards. In his time, they weren't so bad, and his beliefs weren't so out of place. Historically, he fit a lot of the notions of a lot of people in his era, so I can't put bad on his name for that fact. But if you want to take people off of these bills that have historical merit at all, to replace it with somebody who was an important figure in a community of minority, you should probably take off the individual who affected actual minorities in his day, rather than somebody who had almost nothing to do with that, and is only respected in one regard on our current currency. So yeah, just idea to put out there in regards to that. I really don't think Alexander Hamilton should be taken off of the $10 bill. And yeah, that's just my 2 cents on that. All right, well, there you go. That was Antique Review Special, Antique Currency, or Antique Money. I don't know what I'm going to title it yet, but this actually ended up being quite long. Long-winded. Well, either way, there's that. I said I would do it, and I've done it, and here we are, and I hope you enjoyed seeing my collection as it currently stands. This is phenomenal to me, and I hope you found it interesting, and I hope you don't exactly hate my commentary on that regard. I think it's a fair statement to say that we shouldn't take off the founder of the U.S. Treasury from Treasury notes. But either way, that's that. And thank you for watching. I'm glad to be back for however long I'm back. I don't know how long this run will be, but with my YouTube history, it's been on and off and on and off and on and off for the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. 10 years, yeah. March 2015. That's pretty crazy. Well, that's March 2016, but the summer of 2015 is when that video was recorded. My first video on this channel. So, yeah, pretty crazy. Either way, have a great day. I'm glad you stuck around to the end to watch this. I mean, I'm not very great at presentation, but I'm good enough to tell you the information, and hopefully you learn something new. All right. Peace out.